but najua Oliver ni morio wangu. Na kwa mtaa mtu akisema wewe ni morio wake, hiyo ndio protocol ya juu sana. So viva comrades, viva. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here on behalf of the social justice movement. Social justice movement was started in Nairobi to advocate against police abuse of power. Huko mtaa vijana walikuwa wanapigwa risasi sana, si ndio? And we started advocating against that, but we've moved. Now we are doing everything from civic education, political education. We are doing gender-based violence because every mtaa has their own needs. So it's a great pleasure to be here and also to speak in this very, very important forum. I remember Uraia for two things. One, civic education. You'll find them kwa mtaa wakifanya civic education. Ukiwakosa kwa mtaa utaona kwa TV. Two, the katiba copies. I know kila mori ako na katiba kwa hao ya Uraia, and we really appreciate. Let's clap for them for that. When you hear Kenyans saying I know my rights, it is because of that booklet that they have in their house, that whenever there's a violation they go through and look ameko kwa katiba. So I really appreciate. Please continue giving out those booklets. The Social Justice Center has been one of the biggest suppliers. Na watu wakinuza tapatapi katiba naambia enda Uraia. So I really appreciate that. That is very, very important. Secondly, I've heard people talk about Gen Z. Gen Z this, Gen Z that. It should not just be a mention. The last 2 years, since 2024, there's a generation that came up. And hakutokea tu. This has been a work from the 90s where people have been coming out in the streets, Sabasaba, social justice centers, maandamano all through. Now this generation has learned from us. I think it's also an opportunity for us to learn from them. Right now I can hear people already judging them. Mbona hata wachukui kura? These people will never lead. It is because we are not listening to Gen Zs. We are not in their spaces. Wangapi hapa wako TikTok? That is where they speak about these issues. So for us to have effective civic education, let's not just do the normal, where tunaenda kwa mtaa, town hall. Let us also listen to how they want us to do civic education. For example, I saw during the protest a meeting of 100,000 people on Twitter. How much do you need to bring 100,000 people to a space like this? But they can organize for such on Twitter. So how can we get to listen to them? Be intentional with the Gen Z. I would like to attend a forum like this, but for Gen Zs only, to tell them about, we have launched a new booklet. We are doing this for civic education. So let us be intentional with the Gen Z. Let us use arts. Ukienda concerts, ukiorganizia concerts wanajaa huko. And they dance very well, they love their songs. And those are spaces we can use for civic education. And also, it is important to say that we are heading towards an election year. Election year, Kenya inaanzanga immediately, the person is sworn in. The next day, we start planning for 20 the rest. Like Ruto alichaguliwa, the next day tukaanza 2027. Right now, from 2026, the country will be in full election mood. But there are some things that we have to take concern. One, the introduction of goons into our politics. It is now normal that goons will be part and parcel of the elections and the politics moving forward. So let us not act like we will be surprised into, guy, you are me later goons. Let us already plan. Let us know that for the first time since we started voting properly, in 1988 we are not voting properly. From 1992, Raila has always been part and parcel of our elections. Raila is no longer there. So what does that mean? What I'm trying to say is that we need to prepare. We need to create scenarios. We need to start monitoring. What are the early warning signs? How can we prevent our communities from suffering because of post-election violence. And finally, the last, since this regime, Kasongo, came into place, they have changed tact. They are no longer killing our people in the slums. They are killing our people on the streets. 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, this year alone, tunajua watu waliuliwa June 25th, watu waliuliwa Sabasaba, na watu watauliwa next year. So, what can we do to demand justice? So that the Gen Z can also feel part and parcel of, when you talk about justice to a Gen Z and his friend was shot by the police, what are we saying? When you're talking about elections as a way to change leadership, na ukiona Gen Z wa Tanzania amefanya nini? In their hundreds, wamepigwa risasi. Are we telling them that election is still a good way of making leaders and making the country iende mbele? So, for Gen Zs, let us help them to advocate for justice. Some of them are still working. Juzi tumetembelea mwingine bado kuna. Viva, comrades, viva. Sasa simsimame hii, sasa tuimbe tukiwa serious. Dhuluma zikija, sote tuko tayari. Dhuluma zikija, na sote tuko tayari. Zikija mbele yako, kanyaga, kanyaga. Kwa nguvu kanyaga, kanyaga, na sote tuko tayari. Mauaji nayo yakija, sote tuko tayari. Mauaji yakija, na sote tuko tayari. Yakija kando yako, kanyaga, kanyaga. Kwa nguvu, kanyaga, kanyaga, na sote tuko tayari. Ufisadi pia ukija, sote tuko tayari. Ufisadi ukija, na sote tuko tayari. Ukija nyuma yako, kanyaga. Kwa nguvu kanyaga, kanyaga, na sote tuko. Asanteni sana. Let's have a nice session.
Thank you so much. Happy Olal. For those of you who don't know that chant, inamaanisha haukwenda maandamano. Those are the songs we were singing while we were drinking, literally, tear gas. But what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. And we're so excited that Uraia is rising to the occasion, reading the room, holding a convention, and not wasting the good efforts that have been put by the young leaders and, of course, those who have gone before them. I'd like to invite my able-bodied team. That is John Kamande. I have Tom. Ni nani mwingine? Yes, Basil of Baker Street. Please put the panel seats up in front. We're about to have our panel discussion, led by Cliff Ochieng. When I met Cliff this morning, I asked him, what are you passionate about? And he went all adult on me, all professor on me. I'm passionate about civic engagement, about social science, I'm passionate about the youth and empowerment and all those good things. And then I asked him, what are you passionate about on Friday? He said, but Rumba, of course. So it's good that we have somebody who's very passionate about the civic space, but also knows how to have a good time. So, Mr. Cliff Ochieng, I'd like to invite you to come forward. Cliff Ochieng is Executive Director of Transform Empowerment for Action Initiative, known as TEAM. He has panelists who are going to come up and we'll have a discussion on civic education today. What does it mean today? Reimagining civic education for Kenya's evolving democracy. So much has happened from the Gen Z movement. Kenya is also at a very interesting diplomatic space when we have activists going across and they're being put in fridges. What does that mean today? We want a practical session. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the moderator of this session, Mr. Cliff Ochieng, the Executive Director of TEAM, and he will in turn invite his panelists.
Thank you so much, Cindy. It's difficult to take the fellowship after Happy Olal, because Happy just converted all of you in a certain way, and the feeling was so hot. Thank you so much. All protocols observed. I would like to call upon my able panelists to join us upstage. We're having Tevin Conte. Tevin, karibu sana Tevin. You can also call him Tevo, if you don't mind. Karibu sana Tevo. Tevo comes from Badili, Africa. He's going to tell us more about his team. And then we're having Ramadan Shaban. Karibu Ramadan, all the way from Narok. Karibu sana. Ramadan is a civic educator for Narok County. Karibu sana. And then we're having Fredina McKenna. Karibu sana, Fredina. Karibu, innovator. Karibu sana, karibu, karibu. And then we are having Tom Tubey. You guys are hungry. This guy came all the way from Baringo. Na mkona plus nikame toka pale down. Can we do that again? Let's welcome him. Thank you so much. Finally, Bansi. All the way from Nakuru. Karibu sana, Bansi. Nika ukona kirende. Thank you so much. I had Happy say something about goons. And trending in Kisumu today, goons are not just youth. Goons are not just those people you think they are. Tukonata na kina mama ambao are goons today. You saw that? Yes. We're going to engage. We'll try and engage in a lively manner. It's difficult to come between gentlemen and lunch, and ladies too and lunch. So we'll try and make it more participatory. We'll start by a quick round of introductions. I'll start from all the other side. Bansi, please. Who you are, your organization, and what you're passionate about. Please don't say Rumba.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bansi Kubudha. I'm the Executive Director, Center for Transformational Leadership. We work in Nakuru County. And what I'm passionate about is that I write a lot. Yeah, I'm passionate about writing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bansi. Next.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tevin Kote. I lead communications at Badili Africa. Badili Africa is a Pan-African women's rights organization. And for us, we work to redefine political and leadership participation, especially for grassroots women and young people. What I'm passionate about, I am passionate about seeing young people at the center of the conversation, in terms of contributing to ensure that even the most marginalized young person in the community is at the center of the decision-making table. But also, I'm passionate about also podcasting. I love podcasting. When I was young, I wanted to be in radio, so I hope one day I'll get there.
Thank you. You're already there. I'm sure you're alive. Karibu, Tevo. Thank you. For Badili next, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Ramadan Shaban. I come from Narok County. I joined Uraia in 2013 as a civic educator when Uraia were recruiting civic educators. That's why we have the 350 civic educators. In 2016, I became the Uraia County Coordinator. I'm very passionate about civic education and Kenyans knowing their right. I'm always very proud seeing the Gen Zs because I know it is our effort as Uraia county coordinators and civic educators. When you see any Uraia county coordinator, we are heavyweights. Each and every Uraia county coordinator is a trainer and is a facilitator in civic education and civic education matters. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Ramadan. McKenna?
Hi. Gen Zs are on this panel, so you'll hear hi guys a lot. So my name is Fradina McKenna. I lead a CBO called Sauti to Africa. What we do is also reimagine political inclusion, especially for young women and young people in general. What I'm passionate about, political discussions. And that reminds me that in this afternoon, someone asked me that if you ask a young person what they do on their free time, they will probably say, hang out. And what may do, use your free time for democracy conversations. And I'm like, okay. I think if I'm not in this democracy space, probably I'll be somewhere also hanging out because that's all our concepts, having conversations in a picnic style. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we do it better, please? I didn't hear that for Ramadan. You have a feeling for ladies? Thank you. Thank you so much. Tom, karibu.
I'm Jambo. Yeah, this is Tom Tubey from Baringo. I work with the county government of Baringo. And for you may not know that we are a county of great diversity. From honey, honey, goat meat, which is naturally salted. From Lake Bogoria, salty lake, to freshwater lake, that's Lake Baringo nearby there. Between the two Rift Valleys, the Laikipia Escarpment and the Elgeyo Escarpment, sandwiching Baringo. And of course, you know that is the county that produced the second president for 24 years. And I'm passionate about engaging. I'm a corporate MC and engaging the public. And I'm glad to be in this panel supported by Uraia. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is the older corner of this panel, so we talk about food and the other things. I wanted just to deep dive into this. Over the years, civic education has moved from just transferring information, teaching about rights and responsibility, to a higher level where now we are engaging and empowering citizenry to be able to drive agenda for accountability and to strengthen democracy. I would want to hear from our panel. I'll start from Tom. In an era where we are having heightened need for issue-based politics, in an era where we are having a lot of misinformation, disinformation, alternative truths, and there's a lot of things spinning all over the place. What is the best practice that you see from where you work as a government officer and also from a purview of Baringo? Thank you.
Thank you. For us, when it comes to program-based budgeting, right away from 2013, when the evolution started, we engaged, or the county government engaged with the stakeholders and other partners, and more so with the Baringo Civil Society Organization Forum. And I'm glad we have Isaac Chalal here, who is the chair. And the awareness about the budget-making process from the start to the end. And currently, Baringo was awarded among the top 5 counties that published all the budget documents in the website. Out of the 5 which were required, 4 are always uploaded on time. And the citizens are able to engage with the government. And we've had governors roundtable that the county executives are brought to check or to account for the monies that were allocated to their departments and the service to the wananchi. So that's what I would say has been good practice for us as county government of Baringo. Thank you.
Thank you. Access to information plays a big role in that. In that view, McKenna, what innovations are you guys putting in place currently in this space for civic education that we can maximize on? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. As I mentioned earlier, right now we are focusing on having civic conversations in a picnic style. We have a program called Katiba Hangouts that is we are doing in collaboration with some other youth-led organization. And you can see Mwenda in the room. She's part of it. So what we do is just have young people in a park carrying their Masai shukas, bringing their own potluck snacks. And then we just sit down and have a conversation, because we have noticed it is important to meet them where they would love to be found. It is not every day that you meet young people in such a conference. It will be boring for them because of the lengthy conversations, the lengthy panels like the ones that we're having right now, the lengthy keynote speeches, but has been in the park, just seated around in our mats, makes them more comfortable and they feel more seen. At least that's what they said from the engagement that we've had before. So what I think right now, we need a lot of innovation around civic engagement. And I can just mention a few of the people that I've seen doing great work in this sector. I can give a shout out to one Brian series. I'm sure he is a friend to Willie Oeba. He does spoken word in matatus. So you see, you're not waiting to call people or even cut the budget for you to be able to educate them, but you're meeting them where they are already. I can also see a group of young people that's right now doing drunken lectures. You just get into like a bar setup, you take a drink, and then after that you have a lecture about governance conversations. So these are the innovations that young people are making around it, around their civic space. And I think moving forward, we need more of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's need for a lot of techies, a lot of players, creatives, and all the eves that we have to be in the space so that we can get to the right target for civic education. Uraia has over 3,000, I believe now, civic educators in our partnerships. Ramadan, give us your view in terms of, what's so innovative about training and building capacities of citizenry as a civic educator.
Okay, thank you very much. In the beginning, when I was joining Uraia as a civic educator, I saw ukiona katiba hivi, when you see a constitution with 264 articles, it was bulky and tiresome. And when you go around, you ask people whether you know how many articles that the Constitution of Kenya has, or how many chapters the Constitution of Kenya have. You can even ask a lawyer. There was a time I asked a lawyer, and they don't even know. So what we did as Uraia, we come up with ways, innovative ways, by simplifying civic education. We simplified the 264 articles so that it can be grasping, it can capture people, and we come up with topics which are, things that are happening, yani the things that are current events. Like, for example, during the issues of public finance, you capitalize on the public finance, and also you view and also you gauge your target audience. You have to gauge your target audience. The way I approach the youth is not the way I'm going to approach the senior citizen. It is not the way I'm going to approach the millennials. The millennials and the Gen Zs, they live in a different world. The Gen Zs, you have to come with an approach. A Gen Z cannot sit here. It is very rare for a Gen Z to sit and listen to you. So you have to simplify it and make it quick, so that, and have tangible and touchy topics. We know today in Kenya, each Gen Zs have problem with it's not everybody who has problem with the police force. You know, we moved away from police force when we had the new constitution, but still the police, our national police service, they still behave as if they are a police force. They forget that we moved from Kenya Police Force to Kenya Police Service. Each and every Gen Z, ukikutana na Gen Z yoyote, lazima kuna mahali amekanyangwa na polisi. So when you bring out the issue of chapter 4 of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and you bring up the issue of chapter 49, 50, and 51, hiyo inaongea kuhusu mambo ya people in detention, hata the issue concerning Ojwang. So you have to be innovative so that you see how you can dispense civic education. And also, civic education has got categories or types. We have political knowledge. Kuna watu ambao are interested with political knowledge. We have normative values. Normative values in the Constitution, pale unaipata kwa Article 10 of the Constitution. And also we have individualistic knowledge. Individualistic knowledge ni how your behavior How does it affect the outcome as Kenyans? And lastly, communal civic knowledge or civic behavior, how we behave on issues and matters. So that we are trying to simplify, and that's why you see we've come up with the modules of Uraia. Now we have 6 modules that are very simplified. We have the handbook, which is very simplified to dispense it, and also targeting audience, different audience.
Thank you. Thank you, Shaban. You can see how passionate he is about this, right? The training manual has come at the right time. Everybody with a phone and a keyboard or even access to a radio sometimes turns into a civic educator. But when it's contextualized and capacity built, it is more structured and more information is important. What is Badili doing differently?
Thank you very much. Badili, we are activating unconventional spaces. And what do I mean by activating unconventional spaces? I'll start by saying, during election period and during campaign period, a lot of politicians usually go to the informal settlements to just gather their masses, right? And they target people like the Chama women, target people like the boda riders, the chairs. They target the young people organized in groups. So they have the numbers, and the politicians already know that these people have the numbers. So for us as a Badili Africa, we ensure that they have to recognize the power that they have, the power that they wield, so that if you have the numbers and the power to be able to elect, a politician into a seat, then you have the same power to hold them accountable. But then to be able to hold them accountable, you have to have an understanding. You have to be able to be well knowledgeable about even what does the Constitution say in terms of even your participation as an active citizen. So for us, we tap into those unconventional spaces such as salons, such as chamber groups. And even give an example for the ladies who are in this particular space right now. How long do you spend in a salon? Maybe 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. What kind of conversation goes on there? Also, even for me, even for us as young men, how long do we spend in a barber shop? Currently, with the current trend of how the barber shop are evolving. Yesterday I went to get a cut and I spent almost 30 minutes to just get a cut. So you can imagine the kind of conversations you can have, and we are transforming that conversation. Not changing it per se, but ensuring them to understand that the conversation that you can have, you can just shift it a little bit for it to be a transformative conversation. We call it transformative gossip for us in Badili Africa. So instead of talking about, that mama who was left by the husband, or that mama who is cheating on the husband, we start having conversation around, things that really affect us as a community. So if it's about water, what do you understand about water? Do you understand what Article 43 of the Constitution states about you having adequate water? Do you understand what Article 43 of the Constitution states about access to quality healthcare? And how does it affect you even as a community member? And that is the demography of the grassroots level. But also, we have not left the young people in this equation. One very important approach that we are using, especially with young women in the institutions of higher learning, is the approach we call the political spa. And you wonder, what is a political spa? So for us, we ensure that young people, first of all, feel, or rather they are comfortable enough to be able to recognize their political agency and develop a political consciousness. So we create an environment where young people feel safe, they feel familiar, using the power of makeup, and for us, our makeup artists, we train them as our civic educators. So they have a very clear understanding of how to facilitate sessions around matter civic education, what is, in terms of even young women participation in leadership, why are we not meeting the two-third gender rule? So what part do you play as a young woman in ensuring that we meet the two-third gender rule? So it's activating those unconventional spaces and being very intentional about them, because unless we're intentional about how we engage and we bring the people who are at the margin of democracy to be at the center of democracy, we are not going to realize even the promise of the 2010 Constitution.
Thank you so much, Tevo. Most effective communication is done in the right preferable platform of that ecosystem. So you notice probably in the modern world today, there are more male gossipers than female gossipers, on a lighter note. So you need to be there. For you to communicate effectively, you need to be in that platform where people listen best. And our political party practitioners are already doing that better than us. They know where to say what. Now they attend church more than we do. and they're in the platforms where they need to pass the information. What do we do at CTL to make this difference in Nakuru? And what's the best practice that you can share with us? Thanks, Bensi.
Thank you very much. At CTL, we are listening, we are learning, and we are innovating, developing solutions that really resonate with citizens. I'll give a few examples. Our civic educators, we have trained them to use the pull approach other than the push approach. If you have the curriculum, for instance, and you go to a Chama meeting, and you start from module 1, without really listening to know what are the pain points of your audience, sometimes you lose them and people tend to lose interest. So we ask them to have a conversation and really understand what are your struggles. Is it water? Is it health? What is it? And then you focus on that to teach them about what the Constitution says about them, who is responsible for addressing those issues, how can you engage them, in what format, where can you find them, how do you organize yourself. And we have seen that really work and capture the interest of people, because then when you respond to the pain points of people, then you capture their interest and you're able to retain that. We are also helping citizens to organize, and by organizing, it's not just coming together. We are borrowing from the political class. When somebody is going out to vie for office in the next 5 years, they have already mapped out. If you are going for an MP, you know how much is CDF times 5 years. Maybe 200 million times 5 years, you will be probably managing that money. But citizens rarely sit down to plan and think about, if it is at ward level, how much money is coming to our ward, and what is it that we want to achieve, what are our priorities. So we came up with an idea where we help citizens to develop something called a community strategic plan. Think about 5 years and how much money will be coming to your ward, and discuss and prioritize, so that when we are going for public participation, we are not just going to meet there and we do not have a plan of what we want to achieve, the kind of development that we want to see in our ward. You already have a plan, and you will be able to monitor that plan. And the conversation also with your representatives starts to change. Instead of waiting for them to tell you what they want to do for you, you start telling them what you want them to do for you. So those are just some of the solutions that we are implementing. And we're also facilitating access to information through a mobile application, just making sure that citizens can access the information they need to know and be able to follow up with their representatives. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Use of apps also. Thank you for mentioning that. Earlier today, Sylvia from the Devolution Department mentioned clearly that, civic education precedes public participation. There's need for information before you can engage, and even probably inject after. But there's need for information. That's the bottom line. So there are challenges that governments face, county governments face with regard to civic education. I would like to cycle back, and Tom can probably let us know what are the key challenges that you face. Siri Nikali, and when people want to get information, it means different things to different people. What are the challenges, my brother?
Thank you. Over time, it is the lack of clarity between the roles of the county government, national government, the legislator, and the executive. I'll give an example. When we go out for during the public participation, you'll ask, wananchi ask the MCA, tunataka mabarabara, daraja, and all that. Yet, that's the executive to execute. Them is to provide the oversight, legislation, and representation. Yet, they are judged and gauged on the development agenda that they bring to the people. So that is the duplicity and lack of clarity with the electorate that needs to be defined. Even now, the issue of CDF, I agree with you. The wananchi are focused more on how much is the governor bringing, yet they forget about the CDF, which could be a lot compounded. The 6 constituencies or 11 in Nakuru, in Baringo we have 6 constituencies. That money, development, is a lot more, even more than the governor does. Secondly, it's about the love for the brick and mortar. Cattle dips and dispensaries, yet there's no money for the personnel or the human resource, human capital. So that you'll see lots of buildings, but there are no personnel or the human capital to operate it. And when it comes to budgeting, the elected leader would rather say, I've put money to build a classroom, not to employ an ECD teacher or to employ a nurse. That has been a big challenge. And lastly, is about the staffing levels. In the civic education and the communication I am in, we have low levels of staffing and budgetary allocation going to these critical departments. Those are some of the few. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. The people of Baringo need information, and the people of Baringo need to participate. So staffing is a big deal, but these guys pay taxes, and they want the best. So that's a challenge, as you've mentioned. Thank you for that. McKenna, they say Gen Zs are tribeless, leaderless, and sometimes people feel like about to blame Gen Zs. What's the challenge in terms of civic education for you in the purview of Gen Zs who are your primary targets? Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I think a key challenge I can think about right now is in terms of inconsistencies, in terms of a civic education. It's more election-centric. It picks up during the electioneering period, then after that, everything goes off. And I'll allude to something that we did last week with our youth, some of the youth-led organizations. We submitted a petition to the IEBC. We wanted them to, fast-track the voter registration process and make it more inclusive and accessible. And one of the recommendations that we were giving them is that they need to tap into the social media to even advertise more. It's very important to even make civic education look cool to this generation. So the fact that they are still yes, they are in the mainstream media, but even that information is not enough. We are not seeing them doing enough as young people. So part of it was them tapping into the social media space and creating content that the young people can relate to, and they can be able to reach as many people as possible. Because right now the numbers are really low. As per now, we are at 90,000 against a target of 6 million. So when are we going to get there if we do not do some radical changes that have to be done? And some of other recommendations that we had for them is to also adopt the mobile USSD so that people can be able to look at their nearest voter registration point, because some parts of this country, they're actually inaccessible, these voter registration points. And we were asking ourselves, at what point do we move from it when the continuous voter registration to mass voter registration? Because what's the point of you sitting just at the desk waiting for the people that are not coming, other than just adopting the mass voter registration and meeting people where they are, even if it's in the schools, in the universities, in those spaces. And another thing that we are looking at a challenge when it comes to civic education, I think some of the civic matters are so heavy, the English is so heavy, and I was reflecting on when I attended an open government summit last month in Spain, and I remember a moderator was asking us, if I was to explain to a tax driver why they should engage in governance conversation, what would I say? And I was thinking, if, by the way, I was to tell my mama Fua why they should engage or why they would care, what would I say? So it is important to make even civic conversations as simple, as realistic, as understandable as possible, because when we reach the people at the bottom of the pyramid, it's only that we can be able to engage and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Simplicity, clarity, use of better language. This space is full of jargon. Some are even changed weekly. So I can imagine the beneficiary needs to really catch up. So a challenge in terms of language and how we deliver our messaging. In some contexts, people even do this in local language in most applicable manner to strengthen civic education. Thank you. Shaban, what are the challenges you meet as a civic educator in delivering civic education at the community level? Two top challenges you see.
The top two challenges that we are facing as civic educators, more so in Uraia, during dispensing civic education or during training of our community is resources, lack of adequate resources. Like for example, if just a quick one, since last year, Uraia has not have funds to sustain civic educators. So since last year, a month like this one, we've not been engaging. We've been engaging, but you know, when you are given a token, you engage effectively because we are civic educators by nature, and it is in our blood. So the biggest challenge is lack of resources and lack of adequate resources, because you need resources so that you can give civic education, you can train groups, you can train community. A civic educator need to move from one group to another, from one point to another, and you see we are understaffed. Because 350 civic educators divided by 270 constituency, or is it 290 constituency? And now we have sub-counties. We work with sub-counties. I believe we have more than 290 sub-counties. And we need civic educators to cover those areas, administrative areas. So that is the biggest challenge that we are facing. The second biggest challenge that we are facing is, I believe the government is fighting civic education. Let me say it, and I'm going to put it very clear. When we are doing our work, even back at the grassroots level, the administrators, that is the DO, the county commissioner, an MP, will not want to associate with a civic educator. Atataka civic educator akuje kwa mkutano yake, because they know we are coming to enlighten the people. We are coming to tell them the truth. Vile vitu ziko. They don't want that. So the biggest challenge is the government of the day, and the administrators. And you see, when you see the government frustrating activists, because activism is a result of civic education. It is because activism is fighting for your right. Activism is dispensing and talking the talk, walking the talk. And the government does not want such things. It is lamenting that you see a big organization like Kenya National Human Rights. Recently, they raided the Kenya National Human Rights. What about CC? Civic educators, just nobodies who work without any funding. Like for example now, si watatumaliza. That is a very big challenge. Another last challenge. Let me say another last challenge. Another last is the political atmosphere of Kenya. And you know our political atmosphere, even though we are saying that Gen Zs are tribeless, kuna hawa millennials, kuna hawa senior most, ambao they are inclined to tribal affiliation. Mtu hataki kujua. Gachagua akisema ni hii. Gachagua akisema ni hii, ni hivyo. Baba akisema ni hii, ni hivyo. Hawa watu wa one time wakisema ni hii, that is a very big challenge that we are facing. Na ndio we want to come up and tujaribu tukuze Gen Z so that tuone kama tutaweza tackle hiyo issue.
Thank you, Shaban. We left with a few minutes to break. And I would want Badili and CTL to give us what the challenges. And Joe, I hope you heard what my brother said. Joe on a pitch. Resources. Everybody's crying. The purse is getting smaller. The expectation is getting wider. So I rethink in terms of those engagements. Badili, what's the challenge? One strong one.
So allow me to mention two. So one I'll mention on the side of also the people. And this is a challenge that I've also seen, especially last week. Last week I was in the community a lot, and I was trying to understand what exactly is it's this barrier that we are facing even as a people, and it's called the barrier of attributes and norms, where nothing is gonna change. So why am I, why do I need to speak up? And this is something that is really affecting us even as a people. And I'll even allude to what the gentleman from social justice said, where the young people are not even being heard. So if even as an individual, if you're not being heard, you'll lose the morale of even wanting to even voice out your concerns. And it's something that we are really seeing in the community, where even asking young people, why are we not showing up to even vote, to even register as voter? And they're like, why do we need to do that? We went to the streets and our voices were not heard. So what will be different in terms of even registering as a voter. And we need a lot of intervention, a lot of work in changing the norms around the communities that we work in, because that is something that is going to be a key barrier towards participation, especially for the citizens in Kenya. Secondly, I'll even allude it to, and this is also an opportunity for us even as actors, where we are seeing the civic space shrinking, but also there's the aspect of even resources, as my fellow panelists has mentioned, where we are seeing the resources directed towards this work is diminishing also. But it's also a challenge to us, even as actors, to see, even locally, how do we, outsource locally, because we have a lot of business communities. There's money in Kenya, and I feel if we invest it, even local actors get into this conversation and invest in it being continuous and not a one-off. When the election comes is when now everyone wants to come and invest in this civic education. But ensuring those also the local actors are very intentional in investing in a continuous civic education, and not just also the over-dependency of, the money is not coming in. But I know here it's also a challenge for us to start seeing how do we outsource, resources from the local actors to ensure that civic education is continuous. Yeah.
Great. Local resource mobilization, local fundraising. Bansi, challenge kubwa sana huko Nakuru ama for all of us.
Yeah, I think the goal of civic education and any type of education is actually behavior change. And you need it to be consistent for that behavior change to happen. Sometimes I know as organizations doing civic education work, we get frustrated because you conduct civic education and then when elections come, the results do not reflect what you have really been teaching people. I think the biggest challenge is making sure that we are consistently educating people and engaging them as we look at how their behaviors can change in the long term. I think we need to start looking at civic education as a long-term engagement as opposed to short-term. So for us as an organization and many other organizations, it's how do we keep civic education continuing consistently, engaging people and exposing them to civic content and encouraging them to take actions that actually make their lives better as opposed to
Great. Over and over, pre-election, during elections, and post-election. So that we have a more or less all-round civic education. I want to ask permission from Cindy. Do we do one or two from the plenary, or we break for lunch? Right. All right. So I'll ask us to do it this way. One, we are looking for solutions also. Tumelament kiasi, tumesema experiences kiasi. So what do we do as practitioners in this space? So as you ask, kindly try and think also of a solution. You'll say who you are, the organization you represent, and who you are shooting your question or concern to.
We have one here.
Thank you. Karibu.
I am Lucas. I'm Lucas Gitao. And first of all, I would like to thank, or I concur with Tevin when he's saying that civic engagement, we must take it to the informal spaces. But even at that, I have one great concern, and it also comes as a solution. My greatest fear is that we are having the right conversation in the right spaces, but there is one that we've neglected, and that is our homes. For instance, today we are having a shortfall of the new registered voters. We are targeting a target of about 6 million, but we know for sure we have young brothers. We have our sisters at home. But the greatest undoing is that we've done very little in terms of urging them, encouraging them to go and register as voters. Mine is just, to call upon all of us. This conversation is very sweet at times when you're meeting in these halls. It's even much more sweeter when my brother there mentions that finances can hinder these conversations. But yes, it's true. Why not take it to our families? Na tusianze when it's too late. Tuanze hii story pale chini, watu wakiwa walesi. gradually they will embrace these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. More of a comment. How deep are we in the ecosystem? Uko chini mashinani kwa nyumba. Next, thank you, my brother.
My name is Kevin Nikonya from Center for Domestic Training and Development, which is popularly known as CDTD. So I feel just part of the contributions is the informal spaces that you're talking about. How rich are we getting there? Because the political elite usually harvests on the lack of knowledge. So my question is, how do we sensitize more these informal spaces and probably leverage on technology? The likes of Bunge la Wananchi, we've seen it cropping up. Can we transcend that to many other counties? So we don't just have one from probably Jifanji or Githurai and all that, which again helps in what you do. And most importantly, instead of us backtracking in terms of dissemination of this information, can we entrench this in the curriculum so that we have civic education curriculums that they actually from the initial stages of when the children are going through the school, the system, where they are able to know that first of all you're a Kenyan and you are patriotic to your country in every single way. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Do you want that to someone or just generally, Kevin? You directed that to Foyle. Thank you. Next.
Hello everybody, my name is Christine Wamboy. I wanted to know what strategies can we put in place to attract Gen Zs to participate in the civic spaces, because now they have the majority numbers right now, and if we don't invest with them right now, we have a generation that is going to mess us even bad than it is now.
Get you. Strategies. How? The question is how. We already see the gap, so what strategies do we have? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ben Awino. I have a solution now. Am I allowed to tell you my solution?
Go ahead, shoot.
Yeah, so I'm Ben Awino, founder Skika. So Skika is a digital civic engagement platform. It's an online platform. So Skika has got 4 main features. So we have online people assemblies, or the online bunge. And then we have the civic education hub, where we provide materials for people or members of the Skika platform, reference materials on constitution, things to do with budget and all that. And then you have candidates portal. So these are candidates portal is just for aspirants, young aspirants, people who want to vie for or aspiring to take up leadership roles. We give them a chance. So since we have spaces, online spaces, so it is also important to provide this chance to those who want to vie to sell the agenda to the people through the spaces. So this also reduces the cost of campaigns. So from moving from town hall to town hall. So we assume if we have maybe like 500,000 Nairobians as members of Skika, then it means if you are a young man or a young woman who wants to take any leadership role as a governor, women rep, or as a senator, you already have an audience of 500,000 people. So you are already helped or assisted in one way or another in funding your campaign. We also give the people a chance, so the candidates, we also give the citizens an opportunity to support the candidates through the platform. So it's another avenue of financially supporting these candidates. And then we have the news portal, where we just give people verified information about the current happenings of the country. So just 1 more minute before you cut
we
me
don't
off.
have a minute, but shoot it faster, please.
Okay, fine. So I want to major on the people assemblies. So for the people assemblies, we have devolved the bunge. So we have bunge in all the 1,450 wards, on online bunge. And then we have 290 constituencies or sub-counties. There is bunge for each and every constituency. And then for 47 counties, and then national level conversation. So you can find us on skika.com. We are launching on 21st of this month, that is Friday, at Kenya National Theatre, so that many of you can know about us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So platforms that are multifaceted, that have feedback and are already working. You almost did an advert, my brother. Skiza, eh? The final one, and then we'll quickly have one comment, and then I'll take it back to Cindy. But if you really press, we can proceed with the comments, if you allow me. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Collins, Oumadon Collins from Civic Voices. So there's a conversation we're having with my colleague here based on what was being discussed up there. And it's a word of caution, I think, that we must have as a country. There's this notion that goes around that young people, Gen Zs, have a short concentration span. And I think it's a retrogressive kind of thinking. Because if these are the people who are thinking we are growing up to be CEOs, to be president, you go to see the president for very important issue, and the only time that he or she can give is 2 minutes. What will we discuss? The truth is that social media, people have short span on social media because those are social platforms. And people having social and mostly non-serious issues. That's why they'll have short concentration span on social media, watching a video and all that. But if we embrace the notion that young people have short concentration span, these people are going to embrace this notion, and you're going to destroy a whole culture because of that. We must not go that direction. Nothing meaningful is done on such short period. If you have to make change, you have to put in the work. People in China are doing things. Look at the videos of the children in China. They're doing amazing work. And all over the world. But if this notion, we allow it to get into a children and stick, we have destroyed a whole generation. Thanks so much.
Thank you. So inhibiting narratives, right? Thank you. You know, even the older guys, the legends in the house, and wanaitwanga aje wale watu wa kitambo. Wahenga mabazu. Even them, they have their issues. They say that those guys are slow. They take time to think. So narratives are narratives. So we need to look at which are inhibiting and which ones are enabling. And then, you know, we all need to go to one place. Would want to end, and then we can gauge further after lunch. We'll start with Bansi. Karibu Bansi.
Conversation on civic education, and I want to take the...
It's non-negotiable, and the Kenya that we want, it's only us who need to build it, having the knowledge to do it.
Even the microphones have gone for lunch.
Okay, just a quick one. It is very clear that our target audience for civic education from this day and in future are the Gen Zs, because we believe they are the one to come with that we are going to dispense to them. And that one should be by the trailer. Concerning civic education, you give them the trailers that is touchy, ile ambayo inashika dini yao, so that they can be interested. Na ndio waweze kufanya nini? To be interested in the topic that you want to dispense. Another thing, everything that we are discussing here, I had it in the keynote speaking from Dr. Mushai to Oliver to Odhiambo to Houghton. So we already have the solution, and we know capitalize on the digital space because the Gen Zs wanapatikana pale sana. Thank you.
On my closing remarks, I would allude to the statistics in terms of, it shows that in 2022, there was a 5% lower rate in terms of participation as compared to 2017. And this will even decline more if we do not do something and continue with the civic conversations that we are having today. And finally, I will allude to the last part of the preamble of our constitution. It says, we, the people of Kenya, we adopt and give this constitution to ourselves and to our future generations. So the constitution is a living document for us and for the future generation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. For me, someone had asked in 10 years.